Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. So today I am going to read the book to you, The Cat from Hunger Mountain by Ed Young. These are like little sticky notes to just kind of remind me of some questions I want to ask. So like last time, I want you to know where the pause button is on your computer or phone, whatever you're using, because I'm going to be asking some questions throughout and just to kind of get you thinking about the story a little bit, okay? So be thinking about, I want you to think about right now, just before we get started, what kind of things have you maybe been learning during this time that, we've been stuck at home, not able to go to school, been in quarantine? What are some things that you've been learning? For me, this time has been a time of reflection on, how important family is. It's been a time of reflecting on slowing down because, a lot of times throughout my day, I'm just always moving very quickly. And so this has been a time of learning for me to slow down. So a lot of times, we can learn, great lessons from some really hard things that we're going through. So this is happening in this story, The Cat from Hunger Mountain. So you'll see that the main character in this story changes. And I want you to be thinking about how he changes and why he changes, okay? So first of all, what does it mean to be greedy? What does that mean to be greedy? So greedy is when you want all these things for yourself, but yet you don't want to give them away, right? And so I want you to be thinking about that, as we read this book, The Cat from Hunger Mountain. Once on Hunger Mountain, there lived a wealthy lord who had everything imaginable, yet he never had enough. How can you have everything imaginable, yet never have enough? How would you describe him? The strongest workers built him the tallest pagoda. He lived there high above everyone. The finest tailor made his clothing from spun silk and threads of gold. So this was a very wealthy man, and yet he said he never had enough. Hunters gifted him with rare meats, and skilled chefs prepared lavish meals with rice from the Lord's own fields. So lavish means like really wonderful meals. Think about all the wonderful things you like to eat, maybe at Thanksgiving or Christmas time. When Lord Cat's servants asked if their master had finished his meal, they were scolded. "Are you blind? Can't you see the bowl is half empty? Take it away." Now think about it. Look at his bowl, half empty, yet he's telling him to take it away. Hunger Mountain was famed for its delicious rice, which grew in paddies tended by servants. More servants would then wash the rice grains in the rapid waters of the great river. Lord Cat stood watch from his pagoda and yelled, "Faster! There's more rice to harvest!" What's happening here? How would you describe the Lord Cat? He's wasteful, isn't he? Just wasting that rice. Life continued in this fashion until the land was struck by drought. That means there was no rain, which means the crops could not grow. Weeks turned into months, and months into a year without rain. The farmers' crops had all failed, even the Lord's own rice fields. Villagers grew hungry. With his wealth, however, Lord Cat continued in his lavish ways. He kept eating and eating and wasting. The famine persisted a second year without any food. The villagers all left the mountain and moved to the city where life was easier. Now the Lord's great wealth was useless. There was no one left to build tall pagodas or weave elegant clothing. There were no meats or rice to cook and no one to prepare them. Still, he refused to leave. Kind of stubborn, isn't he? What would life be without all of his possessions? What do you think might happen here? He's all alone. Nobody to share his wealth with, nobody to help him. What do you think might happen? Finally, starving with no food to be found, Lord Cat closed his mountain home and he went begging to all the corners of the land. Yet no one was there to help, so he wandered alone mile after mile. How are things changing for him? He's no longer living in his lavish ways, right? Eventually, he spotted two beggars like himself, warming themselves by a fire. They told him of a kind monk in a modest temple nearby who gave free food to the hungry. They offered to show him where. They left early the next morning, and on arrival they saw a line of hungry souls, all waiting to be fed. Lord Cat's turn finally came. The monk scooped a spoonful of steaming rice into his bowl, filling it halfway. Now think about this. How was his bowl at the beginning when he was so wealthy, right? He filled it completely full, but he only ate half of the rice. And what did he do with the other half? Washed it down the river. Okay? It was the fullest bowl of rice he could remember having eaten. Now think, he's only has a half bowl of rice, but this seems like the fullest bowl of rice that he's ever eaten. What's changing in him? What lesson do you think he's beginning to learn? I must ask you, he said to the monk, how have you managed to come across such a fine grain in such difficult times? The monk heaved a sigh and said, I am so fortunate to live at the bottom of Hunger Mountain, where for years a rich lord would wash his rice carelessly in the great river. The wasted grains trickled down to my stream, where I collected and stored them over the years. Now I have more than I could eat in 1,000 days, so I'm happy to share it with all in need. Think about the monk. Think about how he's different from Lord Cat. Where is he getting this rice? Where did it come from? Remember who washed the rice down the stream at the beginning? Who lived at the top of Hunger Mountain? Lord Cat looked now at the empty bowl in his hands, and he realized he had been fed with his own wasted food. And for the first time ever, he knew that what it felt like to be truly blessed. How has he changed? What do you think we're supposed to learn from this story? So to this day, if you enter this temple in the foothills of Hunger Mountain, you'll find an urn in the shape of a cat. From it, you can take out a tab with an encryption that reads, "Only I know what is enough." So think about what lesson did the Lord Cat learn from this? Think about how he changed through this story, right? And why did he change? What happened to him to make him change? Do you think if he would have continued to be wealthy and continued to live the life that he was living, that he would have ever changed? Probably not, right? He faced something that was really hard, the famine, the drought, no food. He was hungry, right? And then for the first time when he got to taste that food that was only a half bowl of rice, it seemed like more than enough, right? So I guess the question I want to leave you with is what is enough for you, right? And, for me, that's something that I've also been learning through this time is, learning how to not be so wasteful, right? To be thinking about others that are in more need than I am right now. So I hope you enjoyed that story, and thanks for joining me.